Russian submarines surge into Ukrainian territorial waters. August 9, 2025, in the quiet, glass-like southern seas off the coast of Odessa, Russia has launched an audacious operation. 12 submarines, each carrying 50 elite Spetsnaz naval infantrymen, move in formation toward a vital Ukrainian coastal base. Their mission is bold and deceptively simple: infiltrate silently, overwhelm the defenders, and seize the base without the launch of a single missile. In Moscow, military strategists believe the plan is flawless, a move destined for success. What they do not realize is that their men are moving directly into a meticulously prepared Ukrainian trap, one that will annihilate them within minutes. High above, Ukrainian reconnaissance drones circle patiently, transmitting new data every 5 seconds. On land, a hidden belt of sensors, 1 kilometer wide, feeds continuous signals to command posts, while camouflaged gun emplacements lie dormant, ready to unleash fire. Beneath the water, coastal batteries armed with anti-submarine missiles lurk silently. And in the skies, loitering drones stand by, primed to deliver pinpoint strikes the instant the trap is sprung. Why submarines? Why attempt to insert infantry underwater to assault Ukraine's fortified coast? Is this a stroke of Russian ingenuity, or a catastrophic miscalculation leading directly to self-destruction? Let's dive deeper and uncover the truth. 0540 hours. August 9, 2025, the waters off Odessa shimmer faintly under the gray light of dawn. To the naked eye, all appears calm, but beneath that surface glides a storm of steel, electronics, and ambition worth billions of dollars. Bearing down on Ukraine's coast, 12 Russian submarines, each stretching over 400 feet and weighing more than 7,000 tons, glide forward in strict radio silence. Together they represent $4.8 billion of military engineering. Yet on this mission, they are not armed to full potential. Each has offloaded 5 Kalibr cruise missiles, a total of 60 weapons, each capable of striking targets more than 1,500 kilometers away, in order to make space for a more dangerous cargo to close quarters. Men inside each vessel, 50 Spetsnaz naval infantrymen stand ready, heavily armed and laden with over 80 pounds of gear. Suppressed AK to rifles, GP to 5 grenade launchers. Combat knives honed to perfection, night vision goggles for stealth in darkness. Altogether, 600 soldiers trained with budgets exceeding $20 million, men drilled to neutralize a target the size of a football field in less than 90 seconds. Their objective is precise and ruthless: land at a stretch of coast just 2 kilometers from a strategic Ukrainian base, infiltrate under cover of darkness, and secure the installation within 15 minutes without firing a missile. The chosen landing zone was hand-picked for its apparent vulnerability: terrain blind spots, no visible fortifications, no barbed wire. Russian planners were certain the Ukrainian defenders would be outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and overwhelmed. Before they could react, the approach was executed with clinical precision. The submarines advanced at 6 knots, hugging the thermocline layer to confuse sonar, never letting a periscope breach the surface. The first teams would emerge in inflatable boats, fan out into squads of 5, and advance in staggered formations toward their target. For Moscow, it was a masterpiece in stealth. For Ukraine, it would soon become a lesson in how to turn an enemy's secrecy into his destruction. If you were the Ukrainian commander, would you strike the intruders now, before they even reached shore, or would you wait, allowing them to march deeper into the trap? Leave your answer in the comments. The Russian strike force moved exactly as intended by their planners, confident in their invisibility. At 0542, their boots touched Ukrainian soil, sinking into the damp coastal ground just 90 seconds after surfacing. They believed themselves to be shadows, untouchable and unseen. They could not have been more wrong, because the Ukrainian base they targeted was not defended by walls, wire, or visible barricades. It was shielded by an $85 million US supplied sensor network that never rested. Surrounding the base was an invisible 1-kilometer wide perimeter lined with over 240 seismic and motion detectors, each feeding signals to a central radar system capable of detecting a man moving at just 0.2 meters per second. Every flicker of movement, every vibration in the soil, was transmitted instantly to the command center, where 6 operators worked in constant shifts, their radar screens refreshing every 3 seconds. On top of this, 14 guard towers overlooked the area, each man 24/7 by 4 soldiers rotating in shifts, their overlapping fields of view leaving no blind zones. At night, advanced thermal imagers with a detection range of 200 meters ensured that no intruder could move undetected. The moment the first Russian squad breached the sensor ring, the system awoke, a single blip appeared, then another, then a cascade of signals. Within 5 seconds, the network confirmed multiple heavily armed intruders. Instantly, alarms pulsed across the Ukrainian command center. The senior duty officer lifted the phone and calmly notified the base commander. There was no panic, no confusion. Only one quiet order: hold positions, prepare the trap. Within 60 seconds, Ukrainian defenders melted into their firing nests. Soldiers vanished into trenches, bunkers, and camouflaged fighting pits. Overhead, backpack-sized UAVs launched silently, streaming live, high-resolution images back to the commander every 5 seconds. The battle had begun, though the Russian invaders did not yet realize they had shifted from predator to prey. Please support us by liking and subscribing. Now, the trap was set. From the moment the radar lit up with Russian movement, the Ukrainian commander had only 4 minutes to convert detection into destruction. His instructions were meticulous. Every rifleman, every machine gun crew, every sniper slid silently into firing positions. The outer ring of defense, 42 Ukrainian soldiers armed with 7.62 Kalibr rifles and heavy machine guns, tightened like a noose. The PKM machine gunners and M4 carbines shifted positions silently, moving like shadows across the broken ground. They used the terrain as a shield, every ridge and fold masking their advance. Their formation bent and curved into a deadly V-shaped ambush, with the Ukrainian base placed squarely at its heart. The design was deliberate, a funnel that would drive the enemy into a carefully engineered killing zone while avoiding any risk of friendly fire. 10 BTR-free armored personnel carriers, each a 17, 5-ton beast capable of reaching 110 kilometers per hour on open ground, were already on the move. They had been tasked with a wide flanking maneuver, their mission clear and merciless: cut off the Russians' retreat to the sea. Inside each vehicle, 8-man assault teams sat tense but ready, RPG-7 launchers resting against their knees and RPK light machine guns checked and rechecked. Their orders were simple when the trap closed: slam the back door shut. Above, 5 PD to reconnaissance UAVs loitered at 1,500 feet, their cameras relaying live infrared and optical feeds every 5 seconds. The drone's AI-driven targeting systems could not only highlight enemy soldiers, but also analyze their movement patterns, predicting actions before they happened. For the Ukrainian commander, it was like seeing seconds into the future, but at 5:46 a.m., just 2 minutes before the ambush was set to begin, everything nearly collapsed. One of the PD-2 drones suddenly spiraled downwards, its systems failing without warning. Most likely, it had been hit by a burst of Russian electronic jamming. The UAV crashed into a nearby field, its smoking wreckage dangerously visible. For a long, frozen moment, the commander feared the Russians might spot it, realize they had been seen, and abandon their advance. The situation worsened when, in the flanking maneuver, one of the BTR-4S struck a hidden ditch. The impact blew out a hydraulic line, leaving the armored vehicle crippled and blocking the narrow route for those behind it. If the Russians broke toward that gap, the entire encirclement would disintegrate before it even began. The commander had seconds to decide. He rerouted to BTR-4S down a barely usable farm track, ordering the crews to push their machines to maximum speed. At the same time, artillery batteries recalibrated their firing tables, adjusting trajectories to cover the exposed sector. It was a desperate gamble, but it paid off. The Russians kept moving straight into the kill zone, unaware of how close they had come to slipping free. At 5:48 a.m., the commander gave the order, Phase 1, fire. 6 GSH G7, 60 to 6-barrel Gatling guns erupted with a thunder that shook the earth. Each weapon could unleash 6,000 rounds per minute, and in the first 10 seconds alone, over 6,000 bullets screamed into the center of the Russian column. Chaos exploded instantly. Elite Spetsnaz soldiers dove for cover, scattering across open ground exactly where the Ukrainians wanted them. From both flanks, ambush teams opened fire with disciplined, controlled bursts. Within 2 minutes, over 120 Russian soldiers lay dead, nearly a fifth of their assault force erased. Their momentum shattered, panic set in. Some squads tried to form desperate defensive circles, while others scrambled into shallow depressions, only to be hunted down by Ukrainian snipers firing from 600 meters with thermal scopes that sliced through the haze of dawn. Every time the Russians tried to return fire, their muzzle flashes betrayed them. UAV feeds marked their positions instantly, mortar teams adjusted, and within seconds, shells rained down on their heads. By 5:53 a.m., the Russian assault force was trapped caught between the converging jaws of the V-shaped kill zone and the armored wall that closed from behind. The commander's voice cut across the comms. Phase 2, seal the perimeter. What had begun less than 15 minutes earlier, as a silent infiltration, was now a slaughterhouse. The Russian special forces had marched into a modern battlefield where sensors, AI, artillery, and infantry fused into one merciless machine. And there was no way out, but the fight was not finished. By 5:54 a.m., the Russians, desperate and cornered, turned to their last hope. Spetsnaz team leaders switched to encrypted VHF frequencies, transmitting frantic distress calls. Their signals raced out toward the Black Sea, where 12 Russian submarines waited in the depths, just 3 kilometers offshore. The response was immediate. 6 submarines shifted depth to 45 meters, locking onto the Ukrainian base using inertial navigation. The command came through cold and final. Launch all remaining cruise missiles. Suppress and rescue 56 Kalibr. Cruise missiles erupted from beneath the waves, each a 3,000-pound spear of steel traveling at Mach 0.8. Its 1,100-pound warhead primed to obliterate anything it struck. The Russian plan was brutal in its simplicity: saturate the base's defenses, sow chaos, and create just enough of a gap for their trapped soldiers to break free. But the Ukrainians were ready. Installed only 2 months earlier, the Americans supplied NASAMS 3 air defense system worth more than $65 million protected the base like a steel umbrella. Its an MPQ-6 for F-1 Sentinel radars could track 70 targets at once, guiding a IM-120C7 interceptors with deadly precision. At 5:56 a.m., the first wave of Kalibrs entered engagement range. For NASAMS launchers fired in rapid sequence, 16 AIMRAAM interceptors streaking skyward in less than 20 seconds. Traveling at Mach 4, each interceptor ripped through its target with a proximity-fused fragmentation warhead. Inside the command center, radar operators worked in near silence, their faces lit by green screens. The only sounds were the rapid lock tones of the interceptors and the commanders. Steady, unshaken voice, next wave, engage. By 5:58 a.m., the sky above the Black Sea was silent. Silent because every single one of the 56 incoming missiles had been intercepted and destroyed. Not a single warhead got through. It was a flawless defensive shield, a 100% kill rate. That stripped Russia of its most dangerous strike capability in one devastating failure. The Ukrainian base remained untouched, unscathed. Not a single explosion reached its target. What was meant to be Moscow's show of dominance instead became a broadcast of impotence. The Russian Spetsnaz units, still stranded on hostile territory, listened in disbelief. The promised rescue, the overwhelming firepower that was supposed to turn the tide had instead collapsed into humiliation. Above them, the sky was alive with Ukrainian PD to reconnaissance drones, their cameras capturing everything, circling like hawks, streaming every Russian movement to the ground commanders. The message was clear: there was nowhere to hide. The Ukrainian commander gave no pause. His order was sharp, decisive: now we finish it. Moments later, authorization was given to fire 10 RPK-300 Palas anti-submarine missiles from concealed coastal batteries. Each weapon carried a guided torpedo with deadly precision, designed to lock onto submarine signatures with 95% accuracy. Their range to 40 kilometers ensured that nowhere in the nearby sea was safe. Within minutes, the water itself roared. 5 colossal underwater detonations thundered through the depths, shockwaves rolling across the Black Sea. The cost was staggering: 5 Russian submarines, each valued at $400 million, annihilated in moments. They sank as twisted, burning wreckage to the seabed, never to return. The remaining submarines had no choice but to dive deeper, fleeing at full speed into the dark abyss, abandoning their comrades ashore. By 6:02 a.m., the thunder of underwater detonations gave way to silence, a grim silence that signaled Russia's naval defeat. With the submarines gone, the 600 trapped Spetsnaz soldiers understood the truth: there would be no rescue. The Ukrainian commander pressed the advantage without hesitation. He ordered BTR-4 infantry fighting vehicles forward to close the last 200 meters of escape routes. Their 30mm ZTM-1 autocannons unleashed streams of fire, shredding tree lines where small Russian fire teams tried in vain to regroup. Overhead, the PD-2 drones dropped to 600 feet altitude, switching to low overwatch. They transmitted real-time GPS coordinates to mortar teams on the ground. Then came the rain of steel. Each mortar round was equipped with precision PGK fuses, striking with pinpoint accuracy within 2 meters of every target. Russian defensive positions, trenches, and makeshift shelters were reduced to nothing but smoldering craters. By 6:05 a.m., the Russian force was collapsing. UAV body counts revealed staggering losses: over 180 confirmed dead, nearly 250 wounded. Fewer than 170 soldiers remained combat-capable, many running on fumes, some with only 2 magazines of ammunition left. Their encrypted radios, once filled with tactical coordination, now sputtered with despair, fragmented pleas for extraction, requests for last-stand positions, admissions of low ammo. Ukraine, however, refused to waste lives in a reckless charge. Instead, the commander initiated Operation Silent Net, a psychological hammer designed to break what remained of Russian resolve. For mobile loudspeakers were driven to the perimeter, broadcasting surrender demands in fluent Russian. At the same time, drones dropped small thermobaric charges, not to kill, but to terrify, each explosion a reminder that Russian troops were under constant, invisible surveillance. The effect was catastrophic on morale. Drone infrared footage captured it in real time, groups of Russian soldiers throwing down helmets, some discarding weapons entirely, others waving makeshift white flags. At 6:11 a.m., the first group of 23 Spetsnaz soldiers crawled out from cover, hands raised above their heads. In the next 7 minutes, resistance collapsed completely. By 6:18 a.m., it was over. All 600 Russian troops, the pride of Moscow's naval special forces, had surrendered. The Ukrainian forces moved with machine-like efficiency. Every prisoner was biometrically